remind me the title with VCCAR, where you're part of the committee as well.
Right. So Ventura County Network for the Women's Council. I'm the president for this area for Ventura County. And then I serve as co-chair. It's a committee that we have for the Leadership Academy at VCCAR.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know, you probably could be relaxing at home and probably having a glass of wine right now instead of being on here. But I appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
I appreciate you doing this, Jerry, because I think this is obviously a time where we all need to connect and communicate. Extremely important with what we're going through. And I know that even with these times, it's been where you're actually talking to people more than you ever did before. So,
right.
Especially that's why I'm happy that you're doing this. And I want to know who else is here with us.
So right now we have Jason. Jason, who are you with right now?
I'm at Option Funding. I'm a loan officer.
Okay.
Hi, Jason.
Cool. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
And then we have Moses, and he, if you would like to unmute yourself, Mo, just to introduce yourself for everyone, or I can do that for you, whatever you choose.
What's up, guys? My name is Moses, local real estate agent here in Bakersfield.
Hi, Moses.
Hello.
And then we have T. T, if you'd like to unmute yourself, just to announce yourself, or use the chat, and I'll just let me know that you're good.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, T.
Hi, Vicky.
All right, guys. So again, I appreciate you guys that have jumped on thus far, and again, we want to make sure that we're being as clear and concise as to what's going on. I'm just going to start off by sharing some of the sentiments that were shared with me yesterday. I had a client call me basically freaking out because he just accepted an offer on his property the day before and was wanting to go out and shop for his listing. For some of the listings that were out. And he was trying to want to go out and look at the property, submit offers. And with the latest letter that came out, announcement, it was like, I think it was like at 8 or 9 o'clock on Saturday that they announced this through VCCAR regarding the stay and essentially for realtors to not perform any sort of business, and the impact that was going to have on him going out for his home search on Saturday. He just basically freaked out and said, "I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to buy another property. I want to get moving, but I don't know now what's going to happen with the offer that I have. Am I going to have to cancel that?" He's like, "I don't want to cancel again. This would be the third cancellation, and this one would be the first one due to me having to cancel." So I wanted to make sure that, we put this on so that way, one, we inform our real estate community, but then at the same time know that consumers are going to watch this and hopefully they'll come out informed as to what we're looking at and what we potentially will see moving forward out of VCCAR and the affiliations that we have. Like you and I'm part of NAREP here in Ventura County. You're part of the Women's Council of Realtors, and we're really trying to do this thing where we're working together really to support our area and our community and deliver as clear and concise information as possible, especially during these times, because it makes it really difficult to do our business if we cannot focus on the task at hand, which is to try to help our clients into homes, right? So right. Obviously we need to know and have the proper guidance as to what to do. So why don't you shed a little light, Vicky, in regards to the conversations that you've had with VCCAR?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're bringing this up, because this is something that as real estate professionals that we're all going through right now. And number one, we need to know that safety and life are most important. If we don't have our life and we get healthy and we get sick and we get this virus and we pass it on to others, the thing is, most people don't realize how big this is. I mean, one person, they don't know they have it. And then it takes 2 weeks, and then it can transmit to 10 people. And each day it magnifies and magnifies. And if you look at the stats right now, the numbers, I mean, I looked this morning and this evening, we jumped. The US, we almost doubled in the past couple of days. And that's with us being on stay at home, lockdown, whatever you're wanting to call it. And that's with that. So people don't realize, I mean, I had 2 calls yesterday from investors as well. And one of them was like, you know what, I'm on the market and I'm looking to buy a duplex, a fourplex. I've got, and then she's an attorney. And I know that she's serious. And there are people that want to buy and want to sell. The other one, I said, listen, and I sent him exactly what I was sent. I copied and pasted that we're not allowed to do any face-to-face. We can't do any listing appointments, any showings. We cannot have inspectors in. And I sent that to my investor past client. And he said, Vicky, I'm willing to write sight unseen. Can you help me with that? And so, I think right now it's a way we need to find ways to get creative. Obviously, we can do Zoom. The problem that obviously we're going to run into later on is, well, what about an inspection or disclosures or an avid or whatever, those kind of things. But that's why I feel it's so important to have conferences, Zoom, and I do network with a ton of realtors because of Women's Council. And then I'm also part of the Mike Ferry organization where I network with people all over the country. So to me, it's like having those resources available and seeing what other states and areas are doing and sharing that. For instance, I had another realtor let me know that they're not in California, but their state is also in stay-at-home, and she was going to be showing vacant properties. So I sent her what we received as Californians, and then a couple other realtors from other states were like, oh, shit, what are we going to do?
Right.
But I think that's why it's so important to do stuff like this, because I have also talked to other realtors that are like, they kind of think it says that we should stay at home or we should not do these face-to-face, should cease. Well, this isn't a time to play. This is our health and safety for ourselves and our community and our clients. We do not play with that. That's something we don't. We've got to get creative, strategize together. Things are constantly changing. That's why I started the resource page of the Facebook group, Ventura County Real Estate Sources for resources for during this time. And it's not open just for Ventura County. I want it to be a platform for all real estate professionals, for people that live in the community. Anything that comes out with California Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, the different cities throughout our counties are having we're having waivers. The city of Thousand Oaks threw out a waiver not to have you usually have to get a city report anytime that you're in the city of Thousand Oaks. Different cities have different rules and regulations. So that's why I started the page. I started it Wednesday night. Please share it and whatever, share it and just trying to
why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you go ahead and actually take the link for your group, for that group in particular? Go ahead and share it right here on the chat.
Can you do me a favor and do that? Because I don't know how.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I got you.
Or we can add that later on. But I think it's really important that this happens because people, you know what? Thank God that we're resilient as human beings and that we have the minds that we have and that the resources that we have so that, okay, let's see. And one of them that somebody brought up to me, which yes, we can definitely do, is say somebody, because people do want to sell. I had a prospecting call Friday morning. Yes, I was making my prospecting calls. And the first call said, I do want to sell. I do want to list now. And so it was one of those where I was still in the hiccup as to, it was Saturday morning. I was like, how am I going to do this? I said, well, listen, I could do it virtually. And so, people have been suggesting have the seller go through and do a video of the property, have photos of the property. Obviously, we all know we can DocuSign contracts. Then the next thing, have the buyer do a drive-by. But the next step is obviously how are we going to close this up? How are we going to have the inspections? So those are all things I think will happen daily. That's why I'm checking any emails that I get, any updates I get I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, anything from the Berkshire Hathaway from our broker or from the CEO, Chris Stewart, or anything from Women's Council, anything from CAR, anything from the association, anything from NAR. And so that's also, I've reached out to people that are on a higher level and platforms than I am to see if I can get them to be an admin on the page as well, because they might hear of stuff before I do. And if they do, time is of the essence.
It's all about sharing that knowledge. No. And that's, again, that's part of the reason why I asked you to be part of this Zoom meeting is because you did start that page. You took initiative and you're making it a purpose of yours to make sure that everyone's informed. And that's kind of the reason why I started doing what I'm doing as well. I wanted to make sure that I was keeping consumers informed as to their ways of, not having to be so overly concerned with the current situation that we're in where they cannot make their mortgage payments or whatever the case may be, having those resources available sharing those links, those phone numbers and stuff like that. The same for you. I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're sharing web page information as to where your sources are from. You're pulling all these details out for the consumer and for the professionals in our area, so that way we can be the professional that they need on their side. I mean, we can't do this kind of like half-assed. You really do have to put it together as a whole, as a community, and really keep each other informed, but also keep each other accountable to what the rules and regulations are. I posed the same question to somebody yesterday, and they came back to me saying, hey, you know what? We can actually still show property. We would need to really take precaution. And the other person that I spoke to then hit me from the other side saying, well, no, we can't do that at all, because if we do, then we're exposing ourselves. I know that they're signing this new car addendum for the COVID-19 addendum. But if something were to happen to the client, where even though it's an empty home, but let's say one of the people that came and fixed the property or did plumbing or did something to the property, all of a sudden now would get sick after the fact. They didn't know they were sick when they were there doing the work. But as the client comes in, looks at the property, inspects the property, they touch a countertop or something, and all of a sudden now they're stuck. Now they cannot move forward. They cannot do anything with that situation other than say, crap, I need to go to the hospital now because this person just got sick, or I need to go get tested. I need to be paying attention to myself and see if I'm showing any symptoms as soon as they start to show. So it's like, what happens if a person unfortunately dies from that because they came in contact through a real estate transaction? Who's liable? I know that there's a waiver, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they cannot hold you liable in any way, shape, or form. There's always loopholes to laws and how people perform their due diligence when in their tasks as realtors. So,
and I was asked to sign something. I have a property that is listed off market. It's, I've got the seller exclusive off market because it's a divorce situation and I haven't seen the property yet. I was supposed to see it yesterday, and I got a message that the seller believes they have coronavirus. And so I needed to be forewarned about going and looking at the property, and I needed to sign a waiver. And I was like, heck no, I'm not going to the property. I mean, and they think they've got the virus and they want me. I was like, no. And that's the thing people don't realize. I mean, that's somebody saying that they think they have it, but there's so many people that don't even know they have it. And that's the issue at hand. And what I talked to one of my friends in Northern California, and she was on a Zoom call yesterday with her broker and her a real estate attorney, and this is in Alameda County in Northern California. And she said that with that call that she was on, that people will start being fined $1,000. So if you are out there doing that, to me, it's like you should be fined $1,000 or more, because you're putting other people's lives. I mean, you don't even know. That's the thing. We don't know.
Yeah, I was reading the statistics. Let me see if I can pull it up. I believe that the incubation period for this thing is somewhere like, I think it's like 5 days to 9 days, and then after that, you're looking at potentially showing symptoms anywhere from day 9 through 15, and then you're sick. They say the duration of this illness is for 2 weeks. So for the majority part, because by the time we start showing symptoms and by the time we actually respond to those symptoms, you're looking at 2 weeks in.
Right.
And being 2 weeks in, and then all of a sudden now you're trying to take action and get tested and find out if you even are. By then you've probably come in contact with another group of people, which now you've exposed others to it as well. So it's like every single day, like your post. I thought your post was awesome, by the way, where you're talking about one person coming in contact with 10 people on a daily basis. That one person comes in contact with those 10. Out of those 10, let's say only 2 of them get it. Out of those 2, that's another 20 people that they can potentially be in contact with, and that exponentially grows and grows. And over time, that's how we get to that position to where I saw a video from a doctor up in Northern California that was talking about how our levels for being able to care for the sick is at a midway point between the base and then the tip of the iceberg, essentially, of the curve. And at that point, there's people that once they get to that midpoint all the way up, all these people up here, if they need a respirator, because only 5% require that, but out of those 5%, if there are no respirators because we have allowed this thing to run rampant, then we're just essentially telling them, I'm sorry, we can't give you a ventilator. You're dying. You're dead. I mean, it's sad to put it that way, but it's true. It's the potential of seeing people die because of other people's really just not caring over what the potential outcome
or thinking
can
it's
be
just the flu. Like at the beginning, I mean, I know at the beginning I was like, oh my gosh, look at the ratios. It's like 1% or 3%. And then now that if you look and track them, I mean, what was it yesterday? There was like 700 people that died in Italy, or I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah,
but
it's almost 800.
The number, it was like the number of ratios. What I noticed, it was like 10% now there. Whereas overall, it's 4.25 approximately, but it changes every day. And yes, I'm like one of those where I'm like looking at it, but I'm seeing the numbers. I mean, we had one person in Ventura County 2 weeks ago. As of yesterday, what was it, 25? And yeah, that sounds like, but that's just, and then, they confirmed 5 as of Wednesday, but then it jumped to 25. And that's with all of us being stay at home, homestay. Yeah. So there's factors that people are not thinking about that they need to take into account right now, that it's not a flu and it is something serious. And at the beginning, I thought that, like many of us probably did, where I'm like, oh, it's just a minimal, but when it keeps multiplying and affecting, I mean, I already know a couple people that know people that have it. So it's a domino effect. We're all in this together.
Moses has a quick little point that, like he said, health over wealth. I mean, it's 100% true. Moses. Yes. I mean, yes, 100%. I mean, we have to look at it and not be necessarily as concerned over our pocketbook as, I mean, we're fortunate enough to be able to make a really good living in what we do. But it doesn't mean that we're also going to be ignorant to the situation and know that we can have an effect on it. We could definitely be a positive influence to this situation, or we could be a negative one. So it just depends on what avenue or what aspect we're going to take. As I was telling part of my partners, or some of my partners yesterday and the day before, she has a listing. I said, hey, let's show it. Let's show it during that Zoom meeting. Why? Because at the end of the day, you still have to do your job. Yes, you're not face to face with a client. And ultimately, if you can find somebody that's interested in the property and is willing to write on it, essentially just by taking virtual tours and, if there is somebody that owns that property and you can have them kind of walk the client through the home, whether it be doing this, like a Zoom meeting or just a FaceTime call, do what's necessary just to kind of get the ball rolling. And then once we get further information as to how to move forward and how to do the inspections, how to do appraisals and all that. I mean, from the sounds of it, it looks like the GSEs are working towards figuring out how to make sure that appraisals can still be done without necessarily having to put a body into the property. So, if that means that the appraisers can find other data that they can utilize, and I mean, it might not be as clear cut of an answer as to value, and they're going to ballpark it, and I'm sure that there's going to leave room for disagreement, and people are going to want more value or less value, or they're going to claim that it's that they're giving it an incorrect value point for that property, and obviously that's going to have an effect on if people move forward with transactions. So ultimately, we have to be mindful of this situation. We have to know that there are things in the works right now, and all we can do is really just be proactive at seeking out the information. Right? I mean, on your end, Vicky, what's been kind of the directive out of your brokerage, and what are they telling you?
Oh, my brokerage, right off the bat, I got a message. It's been kind of blurry these past few days. I believe it was Friday, maybe it was Saturday,
Tell me about it.
we're pretty much no face-to-face. So we got that message before it was sent out. So I don't even know, but we got a message right away that my broker, Bob Majorino, was on the phone with 400 other brokers across the state, and they were on with Carr as well. And after the call, he said, do not do any face-to-face. And even if your clients want to do it, do not do it. And so we were advised definitely not to do any face-to-face, because this is obviously it's very serious. So it's nothing that, and then he did say, obviously to Zoom or Hangout or FaceTime and other ways. And that's why I think it's so important to have this platform to let other people know, because you're still seeing posts with people saying, what's the big deal? Well, hello, when in our lifetime or in our parents' lifetimes has a church been closed down, sports centers been closed down, we've been quarantined to be in home or stay at home in state, national, worldwide? Let's get real, guys. There's a reason behind it. I mean, think about that, so there's a reason to that.
It's about being proactive versus reactive.
Yes, being proactive.
I mean, we talk about that all the time in our profession, right? We have to be proactive, not reactive to the situation.
Yes.
Confront the scenario before it becomes an issue. So ultimately, if that's the way we do business, then why can't we treat this thing the same way? The big I guess sticking point that I had, I mean, I shared with you, we had that one individual that I shared the post to you with,
right?
That I just felt like, wow, like what are we doing? I mean, are we completely ignoring the fact that we're not supposed to be doing these type of, whether it be lives or whether it be posts where you record yourself in the property and doing this? It's like, you don't know if you're a carrier right now.
Right.
You really don't. We'll know in 2 weeks whether or not you were, right? Because you'll, if you're sick, you're sick. If you're not, great. But if you get sick and you were at that property, and let's say that your clients live in that property, and let's say you touch something in that home and you left behind the bacteria and they got
not necessarily touch. It could be airborne too. I mean, that's the thing that it's the airborne. I mean, I've got a friend in Italy right now, in Northern Italy. And so I've been keeping in contact with him. And I remember, 10 days ago, because we're obviously right behind them with the timelines. And when at one point, when everybody was getting toilet paper and everybody was hoarding stuff, I'm like, okay, are we being crazy? Are we being irrational? Like I was trying to get reassurance, because he's the kind of person that doesn't sugarcoat things, and he'll say, oh, they're a bunch of idiots or whatever. So I was expecting that. And that's when he was like, Italians thought it was a joke. It cost them big time. No, you can get this going outside. I mean, different. So I've been keeping in contact with him, and it's, he's safe. He's not sick, thank God. But obviously, that's why it's so important to share the information and know that it's not a joke, and it's our safety and health are number one. And it just shows us also to get back in contact with people, have conversations, not be rushed, focus on what we can do, which is stuff like this, sharing information.
Versus just complaining.
Huh?
Versus just complaining about what we can't do.
Right. Today I had somebody do similar to what you had yesterday. I have a couple offers on this one listing that I had that I haven't been able to present. And he was like, we will drive down to da-da-da-da. I'm like, and I had sent him yesterday what we were sent. He's a California realtor. He's here in Ventura County. And I sent him the link. I'm like, we cannot do. He's like, I'll wear my gloves and I'll do that. And I'm sitting here going like,
yeah. Well, I mean, from the medical practitioners that I know of, that I've spoken to about this situation, they've told me the masks don't do anything. The masks, all they do is if you have it and you cough and sneeze, it keeps your bacteria, your germs inside of the mask. It's not going to prevent you from getting sick, right? So that's not going to stop you. If what you're trying to do is just not get sick by wearing a mask and gloves, that's not going to stop it. but it will just keep that person from being able to spread it.
Right. It'll
further
help shield it a bit for like when we do go out, that kind of thing. But to me, I was like,
so that whole 6 feet thing.
Did you not hear me? Like, did you not get it? I mean, that's why I was happy that you asked about this, because there are people still that do not get it.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I'll go do this and I'll go do that. And I mean, the main thing we're allowed to go out for are if we need food, if it's an emergency, I mean, those kind of things. So,
yeah, I mean, it really comes down to it. I mean, there's ways for people to get the job done right now, where we can, like I said, there's virtual ways to get things done right now. And all we have to do is, as time passes, is really put together, the facts of the situation, and over time, hopefully, they'll tell us, okay, yes, you guys can go ahead and move forward. Don't worry about it. We can do X, Y, and Z in order to facilitate, whether it be the inspection or anything like that. So if we're talking about people having to, let's say, the third party has to come in and do an inspection of the property, then, if they need to do like just an external review of the property, they can do an external review of the property. They're not going to get sick from being at the property. They're going to get sick if they come in contact with anything or anyone. So the fact is, they can go around the property, they can look, they just can't go inside. And if they do decide to go inside, those individuals right now would probably want to have something in writing that there's, that they're going to allow this person in, and both parties are aware that one of them can be a carrier. And ultimately, there's nothing you can do to impact the other individual financially or professionally, right? So, there's going to be ways to get around it, and I'm sure people will do it, just because people are after a paycheck sometimes. I mean, instead of being a business,
definitely, and we're resilient. We're going to find a way. I mean, there'll be a way. Obviously, sooner would be better than later, but as the saying, it's like, we hope for the best and we prepare for the worst. And so therefore, that's why it's so important right now to use our minds, spirits, hearts, and resources to do what we can together through this.
Right. So, I mean, have they given you any insight so far as to what they're planning with VCCAR as to, further meetings and things of that sort?
Everything is postponed right now. I know that I had a meeting scheduled in Sacramento at the end of April, and that was for Women's Council. We had a state, and then obviously the whole state, you had Ledge Day there as well, and then that's canceled. I had something scheduled in Washington, D.C., and it was National Association of Realtors was having their conference, and Women's Council, we were having ours, it was canceled. So we've got stuff that's already canceled out, like a few months out. So right now, everything is to be determined, canceled. I mean, that's why I did reach out to some people that are on higher levels of, obviously of the association, the CAR and NAR, to see if they can help with being an admin on my site. So it's because I know they're going to get information quicker than I do. So whatever they can do to share that information to all of the real estate community and communities, people that want to know, because it's not just realtors. I mean, people want to know. So that's what I'm working on, because obviously right now, but I did speak to someone that she's involved with the health and she, for the county, emergency county information, and they're already preparing from what I was told, stuff until the end of the year is going to be kind of like lingering. So it's already, we'll see. I mean, all we can do is, like I said, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And this is a time to really come together in faith and doing whatever we can. Yeah.
I mean, as it is right now, I mean, I think we could take examples. I mean, you yourself told me this morning that you were in the middle of, you did a church Zoom meeting, right? I mean, I myself, our meetings are being held via Zoom, or we're getting a downloaded recording of a meeting that's happened in the state of New York. So that way we still, we still get ourselves spiritually fed. But at the same time, if they're taking those actions, right, they're taking that initiative of cutting all of that out now, then why is it that us as professionals in the real estate industry, what are we doing? If we're still doing business as usual, then we might need to look at things a little differently. But yes, there more than likely there will be alternative ways for us to be able to do our job. We'll get notifications, I'm sure, in regards to what we can and cannot do. And that's something that we need to take into account. Now I have a question here. I think it's from Israel, but it says, do you think that showing homes with gloves and or a mask, or do we just shut our business down for now?
Well, from what I was told from my broker and from what I read, yes, I understand it says we should cease from that. I would not do it. I mean, personally, I already even told, like I said, I've got a couple people that reached out to me and wanted to, he's like, okay, fine, I'll write it sight unseen. So I personally wouldn't. I do know there's other people that are doing it. It doesn't make it right. I just know that we don't know enough right now. There is no cure yet. There's no vaccine yet. This is so new that we can't risk, because what if you do show it and they touch something, or what if the glove is ripped, or what if you just never know. So then now you're sick and they didn't know they're sick, and now they transmitted it to you because we don't know. It could be from any kind of source. So it's just one of those things where, okay, the social distancing is definitely it's an effect, 6 feet or more. And it also, from what I was told, it could also be airborne. There's so many factors there. Yeah. But that's why it's the matter of getting creative and doing finding ways, and also networking with the other real estate professionals and seeing what other people are doing. Because I did talk to one of my friends yesterday, or, she let me know, she's like, I'm in the middle of writing up a listing and writing an offer. So, and she's here in our county, and I know she wasn't meeting them face to face. So, I don't know. I guess my answer is right.
It's a tough predicament for us to be in.
It's definitely tough, and that's why I'm also looking for resources, like what kind of relief system, what relief efforts are available for realtors, and that I did find that, and I posted that on the site last night as to what NAR posted for real estate professionals, what they're working on for us, and that's why whenever I see or hear, I'm like a sponge. I want to share it because I know that we're all squirming right now, okay.
Yeah. No, all I can say is, for me as a lender, I'm seeing things that are concerning to me, which is, okay, so VA, FHA, when we're talking about appraisals, when we're talking about potential shutdowns of certain things that must be done, not that you can choose to do or waive, but that must be done, especially on VA when you're talking about termite. My wife's company, they're still working. They're still going out. They're still doing what they need to do. They're still doing the repairs. They're still doing the inspections. All of that stuff's still going on. And that's because they're an essential part of the function, right? And so, but so are realtors. So we have to figure out ways to kind of bridge that gap. If anything comes out new, obviously, that says that we can, heck yeah, we're going to jump on it. But of course, it's a point so that we have the safety that we can, it's not, because right now we're at the phase where it's growing and growing and magnifying. And that's with us being at home. So the moment we get out there, anyways. Yeah. So, I know Israel's saying that, here, let me unmute you, Israel. Go ahead and just,
go for it, Israel.
Yeah, please.
Oh, hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you guys for having this. Hi, Vicky. What's up, Jerry?
What's up?
I was just asking the question right now about MLS. Why hasn't MLS shut it down? The way I see it, as long as MLS is up and running, people are still gonna want to post listings. They're gonna still be doing what they can to show those properties. And it just seems to me like the best thing to do would be to shut it down, because like what you just answered, Vicky, we shouldn't even go show properties because you don't know what could happen, and if somebody gets exposed, somebody could sue somebody, in my opinion. And this thing can get really ugly. So just wondering if you guys know.
No, that's a good point, and I think that's a really good point. I know they're shutting off the open house on there. They're not going to have that as you can't put open house on there on the MLS anymore, or you shouldn't be able to. They were going to hold it that way. And also, if you read what they sent us, it said to put your properties on hold or withdrawn, any active listings that you have. So I put mine on, and then today somebody called wondering why it was on hold, and I'm finger going oh my gosh, are people not paying attention? So
Yeah.
So
were those recommendations or were those mandates? Because it seemed to me like it was a recommendation.
it was a
It's all
recommendation.
recommendation.
But it was a recommendation. But if you read in there, I mean, to me, it's kind of like one and the same. If you're being advised from your broker to not do any face-to-face, and then at the same time, you're being told not to do face-to-face from the association, and not even if it's a showing or a listing, whatever it is. So, and then it's also, so if you want to actually, can you pull that up on there, Jerry, that part of it, or we can add that later to the bottom of the Zoom so people can see in themselves.
Oh, from the post?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Just
click
share
the
it down
link real
there.
quick.
Because then people, I mean, that's the thing. Like someone said to me yesterday, it says we should cease. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I understand. You can take whatever you want. You can take it in whatever format and context. But bottom line to me, it's like safety's number one. We just don't know. And I know from my broker,
the post for
they
that
don't want
was the post from that was the letter, right?
Yeah. Hold on, let me see.
No, that's the court closure. Let's see here.
But we can add that on there later on too, if you want it. I mean, but that was something that.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, I think that if you have the date of when that was posted, I can go ahead and pull that in.
Right.
Because yes, I do have it here. So just so you guys can see the heading on the group, I did put the link to the group there. But let me go ahead and share my screen with that in particular, so you guys can see here. We have. Let me close that. This is the heading of the picture, the image for the actual group. We do have a bunch of information coming through, and I know Vicky, you're doing a hell of a job to keep
I've got
this thing.
Cher helping me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Cher Heard, she's helping. Esmeralda Garcia's done a couple. I've also got. I asked the director of 211 to be on there, Kelly Brown. So she's probably going to be posting some stuff. Obviously, her stuff is more, it's not real estate related, but it's definitely emergency relief related. During the fires, I mean, it's like 211 is the information line for anything for our area for emergencies and that kind of thing. So she's on there as well. She hasn't posted anything yet, but she's also an admin on there.
Yeah. So this here shows the update from yesterday. Right? Is that from yesterday or is that Friday?
I think
so. Today's the 22nd. So yeah, it was from yesterday. It was updated at 11 a.m., which is what everybody was talking about when I was with my guys.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely take a look.
Updated March 20th, right?
March 21st. It got updated yesterday in the morning.
Okay.
So again, that's a way for you guys to be able to do that. Or check that out. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can go back here, but it's not even there. Let's see. There we go. And so it's this post from March 19th. So it keeps updating. So just feel free to go back to this. I would even say if you can, Vicky, when you have a minute, go ahead and click on this right here and then pin that to the top, because that will continue to keep us updated. And it's pinned to the top of your post. So any recent updates will show on there as well as things come up. And then let's see here. And then, thank you, Jason. So we have another link here. I'd love to put that on here. Oh, yeah, that's the same one. So I appreciate that.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're talking about. This is from the 20th. And then this one was the one for the stay-at-home order. And then the other one was the follow-up to it. So yeah, we'll definitely put that into the feed as well. And then T is asking, what are your thoughts on pending transactions?
Mm-hmm. And I actually had to talk to a couple. I've got a friend in New York, and she's got 3 pendings. One was supposed to close last week, and they're just missing, I believe, the final inspection or the final walkthrough. And so I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think that's another. It depends. That's why I'm also keeping an eye out, because we need to find out. I mean, will the lender be able to close and order the CD? Will you be able to do all that? get it
The
closed?
thing is, well, no, officially, and if we don't have, well, we can get our CDs out. We can do what we need to do. It just depends on what stage they're in.
Right.
It depends on if there's termite to be done. If there's a termite, if it's FHA, obviously we're going to have some definite obstacles that we're going to confront. I mean, Jason, do you have anything you can share that you'd like to share on that thought?
Unmute him. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. A lot of appraisers, they're not getting messages, they're independent. So we're getting a lot of appraisers that are just simply canceling. I had one guy go to a door, and I guess the kids ran up with drippy noses, and he refused to do the inspection. And then I have another appraiser that I have appraisals that are out for like 8 days, regular turn time, and they haven't even called the schedule. So it's kind of crazy. Right now, they were already backlogged because the lower rates. But at least right now, I'm paying like extra rush fees just to kind of move things forward as fast as possible. If the appraisers are able to get in there and do their thing, or the termite guys are able to get in there to do their thing, we're still closing out the loans that we have. So we're just trying to get them closed as soon as possible and do
Right.
Yeah, no, and that's
the main
exactly
thing.
it. That's exactly it. I mean, that's what my goal is. I mean, I have a VA that is, thankfully, it's a new construction. So when we're talking about the termite thing, it's not really much of an issue. I was still given the opportunity to represent my client. I was able to get through the whole process, and literally now we're literally waiting on escrow to give us what we need. I mean, just to get it closed. I mean, at this point, thankfully, because it was a new construction, I had a bunch of my obstacles get removed out of the way altogether. So that's a good thing. But
So there you go, right there. There's one thing we can focus on: newer construction to help clients that need newer construction. We can also focus on. I was thinking of even. I'm sorry, guys, but I was thinking of even like cash people or people that owe zero on the property for seller carrying financing. But obviously, you still need to get in the property and have an inspection. But it's like thinking of things, brainstorming ways, masterminding ways. But I like there you go. See, new construction.
Yeah. I mean, well, new construction, depending on whether or not the builder allows you to use your own financing, is a huge deal. I mean, the homes in Piru, they have their own lender of choice. But if you have your own lender and they vet you out by just checking out your information, they'll let you do the deal. There's some that you have to battle it out with the builder. So, I mean, I've done that before. I'll do it again. I mean, it's just one of those things where thankfully that'll be one of the areas where we'll be able to get around some of the obstacles that we confront. But for the most part, I think it just depends on the stage of where the transaction is on whether or not we're going to be able to close that anytime soon. I mean, like I said before, the appraisals, I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem because it sounds like even the GSEs are trying to get together and kind of determine what it is that we're going to be able to do on that front. We're talking about the RON, which is, the notary to be able to be done online, an electronic notary. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it depends on what's going to happen. I mean, this thing can really have an effect on how we do our business. And it could be a positive one. I mean, it could be a way for us to move forward and actually start doing things a little different than having everything have to be face to face. So this might push California into that realm of now doing things a little different, which would be nice. I think in our case would be a great step in the right direction. But at the same time, we have to think, again, the safety of the public. We have to think of our clients and what kind of impact that may have on them and their families, especially for those that are in a position like one of my clients is where I have to move out by X date. I've already been given the day of when I have to leave this property. And if not, I'm going to pay 15% more per month on my rental because I can't, I don't want to extend for another year. And then if I do extend for a year, I'm going to be tied in to eating costs as I move out because of the lease agreements that they have in place. It's like, it's going to have a total, it's going to have ramifications across the board all the way through for all of our clients. So we have to pay attention to that. And we have to know what we can and cannot do. So I thought that was something that I'm hoping that will have a positive effect in our industry because of this. That now we're able to do some of these things electronically, and that will help facilitate some of these steps to the transaction. The appraisals being able to be done in a different manner for now, even if it's just an exclusionary period, right? Like even if they just do that for now, that'll help us get transactions closed, help the current buyers get those done, and then as we get into new ones, set the right expectation. How many days is it going to take for us to close? Are we really going to close things in 30 days, or is it going to take us 45, 60, or even 90 days, depending on exactly what the circumstance is? If it's going to be a property where they have identified that there's a potential that this person may have been hit with the virus, then at that point there's going to be a little bit of a drawback and say, okay, well now we need to give enough time for X,
well, that's
Y, and
why
Z
the
to
amendment.
happen.
That's why they have that amendment that came out, the coronavirus, because it does cover that in there. Like if it's got the different in there for
scenarios. Yeah. And I thought that was huge for CAR to push out.
I'm so happy they did it so quickly. Yeah,
same here. I mean, they were really on the forefront of that move, which was great. I think it was a huge help. So again, I just want to make sure that we're addressing these things.
And if anybody wants to bring up anything else, I mean, obviously bring it up. Any ideas that you have to make it through this, any suggestions or ways that we can still continue to operate our business? Because obviously we are professionals and we work hard. We work hard as real estate professionals. And so whatever anyone else can think of ways for us to continue to run our businesses, help families buy and sell real estate, investors, help the community. I mean, it's one of the biggest in the country, in the world, is real estate. So whatever we can do to help and still be able to do business. So any suggestions are definitely, I mean, go ahead and comment below the link or whatever, reach out to us if you want to share it. I mean, that's what we're doing this for.
Once this goes on Facebook, I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of questions I'm sure going to come up after the fact, which I'm good with. I would like that just to see what kind of thoughts people have on this. Hopefully we've been able to give some insight as to what the upcoming steps are and what potentially we could do to facilitate our business, right? I mean, at this point, that's what we want to do. We want to put people in homes. We're not in this business to make money. We're in this business to really make that dream happen for families. So if all of a sudden everything's on hold, then we have to analyze ways for us to improve it. I know that what you're doing, Vicky, is a huge help. I'm trying to do the same, being an advocate for families. And so, I mean, I think it's really something we got to do. I mean, it's a must do for us.
For all of us. It's a time for us. We've got the time right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, really, I have, I believe 9 transactions going on right now. And out of those 9 transactions, I think, thankfully, 3 or 4 of them are FHA streamlined, and the rest are 2 or 3 are purchases, and 2 of them are conventional refis. And honestly, I don't know where my conventional refis are exactly going to be standing, based off of how far we got. Did we get our appraisal ordered? Did the appraiser go out yet? I need to go back and double check on all these because I need to know exactly where we're at. And with my team having to be relocated to their homes, to work from home in this last week, I mean, obviously that had a little bit of a slowdown in regards to getting a response back as to where are my files. So, I mean, I thank my team. They're amazing. They're a bunch of great gals that really put in the work. And then I have all my partners. I mean, you guys know Johnny, and you guys know Art on my team, and Juan. I mean, we're all busting our butt to try to get our clients' deals closed. And at the end of the day, we have to be aware of the scenario. We have to be aware of what we can do as individuals to at least be that calming agent in this transaction, because the last thing we want to do is feeding into the fear and feeding into that craziness. So we want to calm our clients down. We want to let them know we got your back. This is how we're going to do things. We've got a plan in place. Let's just take it one step at a time, and as things develop, we will go ahead and proceed with caution. So that way, we as professionals are being those individuals that are really setting the tone for our clients to understand, like, we got you. Don't worry.
Right. And we do. We understand because we're going through the same thing that they're going through. And we're learning through it like they're learning through it. And so, I mean, all my escrows blew up because of everything that's happened. And when it happened, I just had to surrender. I mean, what am I going to tell them? Everything. And it's kind of ironic because one of them was, you know what? I don't want my property being shown anymore. Can you please put it on hold as of Saturday or Friday this weekend? But I still want to sell the property as soon as this is all over. And I still want to. And then that's what ended up happening anyways. They asked us to put things on hold. They asked us not to have any more showings. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, and I know that I'm still out there talking to people. I'm still looking to help buyers and sellers get their properties sold. And also, that's also why I am talking to other realtors as well to see what are they doing? What are they doing and how are they making it work still and getting through this? So
yeah, for sure. So yeah, again, thank you so much, Vicky. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Jerry.
I know that it's
thank you,
we all have better things to do, right? So thank you, T, for joining. Thank you, Jason, as well. I really appreciate you guys being on here.
Good to see you earlier, Israel. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no, yeah, same here. Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much. We'll post this up in a little bit, Vicky. So I thank you so much. And then I'm sure I think with NAREP we're gonna actually hit you up as well to try to do some stuff via Zoom so that way we can continue to shed light on this situation.
Okay. Be blessed. Be safe.
See you too. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You take care.
Thank you.
All right,
bye.
bye-bye.